Joey Diamidi, Telemann Brun, sitting here with, with Nils and Boaz, who have just cycled down from Holland to our little part of France on their way to Italy. First long tour with hills in it for Nils because he's done a lot of cycling in Holland, which and you've done a few tours yourself, Boaz.
Just one in to Sweden, from Holland to Sweden, and then through Sweden from Gothenburg to Stockholm last year, which was a lot of fun. In the Corona times, I was like, well, what to do? And I heard that Sweden didn't really care too much about the Coronas. So I was like, well, let's go to Sweden then, because there aren't that many restrictions. And I was on my own there, and it was a great adventure. And it set me on to see like how easy things were on the road, and how simple life was, and it inspired me to do more. And we're here for more.
Cool. More cycling. Very good. And actually, Boaz is a good example of how you could tour on any bike. Because and some people spend thousands on touring bikes. Neil's got an old racing bike, basically put straight handlebars on it, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yes,
working.
it's working, and I love the bike because it's light
Mm.
and agile, but it's a bit clanky, but it works.
Yeah.
So
A few limitations, but we got him going. We got a new spoke in and a few replace his kickstand and his shifter and a few things. And Niels, what about you? So you said you've done some touring with your family in Holland, and now this is a bit more challenging of a trip because you got hills, you got a long distance, and it's an open-ended trip, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I've like done a couple of bike rides around Holland with my family, just to go camping for like 1, 2 weeks sometimes. I did one bike trip to Germany a couple of months back to visit a friend, but that was like all I've done. And yeah, for me, it's on this bike trip, it's like I'm just gonna see how far I get and how well I enjoy it, and that's the great thing about this. I think you can basically do whatever you want, and you're really free to do whatever you want. And when you wanna, you know, quit and try something else, you can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean the only ups and downs on a bike trip aren't the mountains and the hills and the valleys. It's also an emotional up and down trip. So, have you had any tough times and thinking, what the heck am I doing? you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually did. I got a bit sick earlier on this trip. I think I drank some bad water or something. So that was pretty rough. But we took a couple of days of rest, and after that, I recovered pretty well. Um, but like my emotional state was not entirely up there with my physical one yet. So there came one point where I was cycling, and just I don't know, I wasn't enjoying it at all. And yeah, I was basically at a point where I was like, what am I doing? What's the point if I'm not enjoying this? So I said to Boaz, maybe I'm gonna come to you to like Toulouse, South France, and then I might take a bus home. Uh, and but the days after that were absolutely fantastic. And we got into this really beautiful landscape, really beautiful mountainous landscape. And eventually I said, you know what? Maybe I might want to go a bit further.
Yeah.
And here we are, taking a little break. And yeah, I'm still quite sure I'm gonna continue after this. And again, yeah, if there comes a point where I'm like, yeah, maybe I want to try something else, I know that I can. So that gives a lot of yeah.
It eases right. It eases the brain. Yeah, yeah. Interesting because yeah, you go through it. I've been through it on the road. I mean, maybe nowadays, as we spoke a couple of days ago when we were fixing your bikes, social media and blogs and all that makes it easier in some ways and harder in other ways because you feel like you're on a trip and then you feel like you're not on a trip because, when you go back home, your friends are just going to say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I saw you yesterday," but you've been gone for 6 months, and
Oh.
your life has changed, and but they were watching your blog. So are you doing a blog? Are you doing any social media on this trip?
Well, I was planning to, because there was a lot of people saying like, "Oh, I want to follow along and I want to see what you're doing." Um, and we're writing a journal every day. We skipped out some days right here, but and I said, okay, I'll have a polar steps thingy, so that's just a location tracker, and they can see where you are, and sometimes you can upload some photos. Haven't done that in a while, and I said I'll upload my journals every week, and you can read through my week.
Okay.
So I did that the first week, and then I forgot because I didn't think about it. And then later on, thinking about, oh, I have to do that, and I was like, well, I don't really feel like it, and I don't think that people will miss it. They'll enjoy reading it, but they won't be like, oh, where's Boaz's thingy? Um, and I was also noticing that when I was writing the thing, I was like, well, maybe let's leave the really personal details out. Um, so yeah, I felt like it was better to, well, keep it that way. And when people really want to know, you just send them a text and you send them some photos and like that, because then I can leave my journal to be personal, and I can write anything in there. Um, and also something else was on my mind when the other people that are keeping up with your story, the influence of that was kind of in my head, because it was like I told people I'm going to Istanbul. That's the end thing. Oh, you're going to Istanbul. Oh. And then when you think like, oh, now I have to go to Istanbul because like it's a cool story, and you said you were going to Istanbul, and but I really had to clear my mind, saying, okay, boss, uh, it doesn't matter if you don't get to Istanbul, because sometimes it can be tough, and you have to have the, just what Niels was saying, you have to have the space in your mind to have the availability to let go and do something else, maybe go home. But there was this voice in my head saying, well, but you did tell everyone you were going to Istanbul. But I've let go of that now, and that feels so much better.
Wow. I mean, and it's a good life lesson, isn't it? I mean, it's nice to have these kind of like goals, but maybe right once you set them out to other people, then there's an expectation.
Yes.
You give yourself this expectation, other people have an expectation, and it's an unneeded pressure. We live in a world with so much pressure and stress. Why have this pressure on a trip that could be, that could change the whole trip and say, oh man, I have to make it there. But you might meet somebody and you might be working on a farm in Spain. You have no idea on a bicycle. And have you had any of those moments where you thought like, oh, I could stay here for a little bit, a little bit longer, and maybe even work, pick some grapes or whatever season you happen to be in? I mean, because that's part of the open-ended travel.
Um, Not necessarily that, but what really helped me with starting to enjoy this type of travel again was like letting go of, well, what Boas said, actually, letting go of the idea that we had to get somewhere and that there was an end goal we needed to reach. And just realizing that all we really have to do is get up in the morning, pack our stuff, bike, enjoy the landscape, and at the end of the day, cook a meal and find a place to camp again. And once I like realized that that was all we really had to do, and that everything else, just would just come spontaneously, then that gave a lot of peace of mind, and that really helped me to start enjoying the trip again and the experience again. And that really helped me, live in the moment, and instead of focusing on like I have to get there, and then I can go home, or continue on or whatever. So yeah, just realizing that you're free.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, and everything else comes spontaneously. That was a great realization for me.
Right, very interesting, very interesting. Because and for anyone out there planning a trip, maybe great advice to take. Because when I used to do my cycle touring, I used to leave and say, "Well, I'm going," and I have no idea where I'm going, how long I'm going to be. And my first trip, I said, "Yeah, I'll be back in a few months," and I was back 3.5 years later.
Yeah. No, I had the same thing when I went to Sweden. I said I'm going to Sweden. What I'm gonna do in Sweden, I don't know. So there was the weird story where I came to the border, and they were checking on everyone that came there, and it was already weird because I was in a line with all the cars, and you're in your bicycle, and they took me out, and they questioned me, and they were like, oh, "Okay, so where are you going?" And I was like, "I don't know." How long are you staying? And at that point, I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't act too suspicious. I was like, well, 2 weeks.
Good thing.
And then they searched all my stuff, but it was all right. And then I was there, and I was like, oh, well, what to do now? And then at Sir Brian, I was like, well, I want to go to Stockholm, so I went there. But it's really a lot of fun to see, like, oh, okay, we'll go there. And also about stopping someplace and going to work somewhere. We had this idea to do some work in Italy, and we planned, well, when we're there, we'll go search for a place, la la la. But then when you get on the road and you see that things don't go as planned, and you're like, well, the way you plan that is fun, but we'll see. We'll see whatever happens. And you telling us stories about like how you went to work somewhere. I was like, wait, that's also possible. I was like, well, maybe I can just find some place and be away for way longer than I was thinking. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you both have learned some really good life lessons already. You've been on the road a month, you were saying, and you've come down
Such
here.
a short time as well.
Yeah.
Like just 1 month. In just 1 month, whatever happens in your normal life, and in such a short time, and even in the first 2 weeks, we've learned so much.
I mean, many people in this modern life don't even have, you say the way you throw around, that was just a month, for me, of course, my life and lifestyle gave me a lot of times where it was years, on your bicycle, and you don't know what the future has. But many people don't even have that free month, in their head. How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
20. So you just did your school friends from high school.
Yes.
And so, a lot of people with a prescribed life, wouldn't have that kind of time. And you've learned so much in those life lessons. I think we got a lot of life lessons here learned. Get rid of the goals, get rid of the expectations, give yourself some time, and life unfolds in a good way. And so, yeah. So anyway, from here, what's the next little? You're heading east.
Yeah, we're heading east. So our next goal for to have like little break again, I guess, will be Padua. Boaz's brother is studying there, so we're gonna go visit him. I think we're gonna cycle through Torino there, and after Padua, it's off to Rome, and then after Rome, we'll see.
You have no idea.
Maybe on to Istanbul. Maybe back north. We don't know. We'll see.
Cool. Keep it open. Keep it open. All right. Well, that was really good talking to you guys. So Boaz and Nils, have a great trip and keep that open mind, that open road. You have no idea what's coming next, and keep in touch. Let me know where you make it to.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch, and thanks for all the advice and all the stories, and so much fun. And thanks for having us on the show.
The show. The International Telemembran. Like and subscribe. Pass it on. Okay, guys. Thank you. And we got a nice day for you today. So you'll be staying another day or two here and then off. Great. Joe Diamidi, Telemembran with Nils and Boaz on their bikes. So anyone out there want to be inspired, pack up your bike, and it doesn't matter what kind of bike it is, just get on it and ride. Okay, thank you. Bye.